So I would like to apologize for not doing this chapter video when the chapter released. Long story short, rather stressed, super busy, and honestly just could not find the time to actually do it. I really wanted to, but you ever just have one of those days where everything really just goes wrong consecutively? That was basically me. So instead I thought I'd work on something else in the meantime, which I already had somewhat in motion, and then I'd come back to this. So we're going to be covering the newest chapter. To be entirely honest, it was rather straightforward, pretty simple, but absolutely incredible. You couple this chapter with the previous one and you have yourself a phenomenal experience. The growth, development, and emotional connection to Maki has been elevated beyond belief. Not to mention the parallel that she plays with Toji, how this completely changes the story for Jujutsu Kaisen and the monster that has been born. I feel a lot of people are probably annoyed that when you have a conversation about Maki, Toji is always brought up. And I can understand why. But Toji is such a great point of connection to Maki in showing her projected path. Not only is Toji an anomaly within the story, someone that holds so much power that is on the complete opposite side of being a sorcerer. He is human at the end of the day, a more evolved version of it. He is the next step for humanity. Now that Maki is following within those footsteps and is showing so much exponential growth in such a very short amount of time, you have a similar path and something that is a lot more consistent. What is super great about this is that it's all fueled through her backstory. It's fueled through her childhood, her upbringing within the Zenin family, how they've treated her so horribly with the misogynistic takes that they have, the disgusting conditioning and mindsets towards specific people and women in general, and seeing her overcome that trauma, that abuse, that neglect, that manipulation is powerful. Unfortunately, it comes at a very massive cost, and that is obviously Mai's life. But it also sparks that birth, that bloom, that flourish into something else entirely, into the monster that Maki has become. An individual that is powerful enough to take on the people that abused her, the family that traumatized her, that ruined her childhood, that ruined her and Mai's life. That's why the words that Mai left her, "destroy everything," is so prominent. It's so permanently ingrained within Maki at her core being now, and you see the result of it directly after. Not only does she show no mercy, she does not hesitate, she does not listen to any sort of excuse or reasoning that they could apply. She just quite literally destroys everything, and it starts with her father, the most primary point of contact for her trauma. Destroying him opened those floodgates and showed us a very small slice of the power that she now holds. But when we see her take on the entire family, it is an entirely different thing, and a league above anything that we have ever seen from her, and more akin to Toji and the viral aggressiveness that he upholds. So obviously she wants to dismantle this, and it's showcased in the most incredible way possible, taking on two factions within the Zenin family. One filled with physical prowess, something that she was also a part of when she was younger, and one filled with technique prowess. Two completely different squads filled to the brim with rather talented individuals, one that have trained night in and night out every single day to be within this squad. This is led by Junichi, the top of the top. He was introduced alongside Naoya and Ogi. These squads do not stand a chance. They get absolutely destroyed. She doesn't even break a sweat. To her, this is easy, the most straight-faced you have ever seen her, the most serious you have ever seen her. It's probably even wrong to assume that she's driven by emotion or anger. It's more like she is harnessing everything that her family has done after experiencing the death of her sister and weaponizing it to the fullest. Both of these squads are nothing. They hardly even put up a fight for her. And as she cleaves through all of them, Junichi comes out to play. He's a little bit more of a big shot, but to no one's surprise, she also obliterates him. It's funny enough disrespectful how easy she finessed this person. She's dismantled her trauma. She's dismantled her past, the upbringing that she had, the horrendous structure and formulation of the Zenin family, and has brought it back to ground zero. The only person that currently remains is Naoya, which brings up the question, is she going to fight Naoya? And out of everything that we have just witnessed, the people she's just versed, the tools that she has at her disposal, the amount of internalized anger that is weaponized, the destruction of her own family by her hands, Naoya doesn't really have a leg to stand on. We may have seen the most from him as a character in regards to his powers and his abilities, but I do not think he could stand a chance against Maki, not even in the slightest. But I don't think he's going to be killed. If you haven't already noticed with the characters that have been killed, the ones introduced, Junichi, Ogi have only had a little bit of information provided for them. They've never really been played upon in their own regards. The only character that it has been is Naoya. We've had a whole segment for him trying to track down Megumi, fighting Chozo and Yuji, etc. There's been a lot more effort gone into him. Killing him off would somewhat feel like wasted potential. I think there's a very toxic but engaging dynamic between Maki and Naoya, and the fact that they conflict so often because of where they stand regarding the Zenin family brings up this really cool conversation to have, which I believe can be played upon a little bit further. So where do we go from here? Do Maki and Naoya fight? Does Naoya actually get killed, or do we just bypass this situation entirely, knowing that the family is basically done at this point and is going to be rebuilt from the ground up once again, most likely within the realms of what Maki wants, Megumi, and potentially even Naoya, if Maki does either convince or force him, I should say, to do the things that she wants. At the moment, Naoya doesn't really have much of anything to say. He has no sway or even power that could even compete with Maki. I am definitely excited for that outcome. What I'm also interested in is her impact now on the culling games. Now that she's gone through all of this, her influence within the culling game is going to be beautiful. I'm really hoping that Akutami does play on her in the way that I think he will throughout its entirety. Not only is she and technically Panda an anomaly within the culling game rules, the power she now has puts her in line with Yuta, Yuji, and everyone else, if not even higher. She can handle her own. That means we got to have characters that can go against these characters that too can handle their own. Akutami is building the groundwork for the culling games extremely well. He's already divvied up the consequences. He's pushing characters in motion to allow them to flourish and spread their wings even further. We had that for Panda a little bit. We still have yet to see what that turns into. We obviously have it with Maki. Yuta's within the picture. Hikari's going to come out to play. Yuji, Megumi, etc. There's a litany of people that are within motion to thrive within the culling games, and we've only had a very small look at the people that they're most likely going to face. Some have very broken abilities. Others have abilities we haven't seen for a little bit or are going to hit some rather soft spots for us. My curiosity lies within how this revolves around Sukuna and the rules specifically. To my knowledge, there's going to be a lot of ways to bypass certain rules or to break them, quote unquote. How badly or how severely, I'm not entirely sure, but the whole purpose is to obviously get Megumi's sister, and it's not going to be that simple. There's going to be a lot of incredible conflict, stakes at play, consequences are always on the line within Kaisen, and it's shaping up to be a phenomenal experience, something paralleling the Shibuya arc. And that's definitely a difficult thing to say considering how perfect Shibuya was. An arc that early shouldn't be that successful, but Akutami done so much work within the background to make it possible, and it paid off tremendously. We're seeing the second version of it, and it's in the form of the culling games, and Maki is the first step of a powerhouse that is very unpredictable, and I couldn't be more excited to see how she continues to thrive from here and what she continues to show us. So with that being said, that is basically it. Let me know how you felt about the chapter, and how do you feel more specifically towards Maki and her impact or influence within the up and coming culling games. There's a lot of incredible ways that this can go, and what we've just witnessed with the dismantling and destruction of the Zenin family and its hierarchy, there's a lot of reform in play. But Maki has spread her wings into something else entirely. A monster on a path towards Toji. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Drink plenty of water. New video every 3 days, and I will see you within the next one. Goodbye.